Got it. All right, good to go?
Yep.
All right, from the greatest minds from around the world, this is the Nerds That Know. Stache here, along with my wonderful co-host, singular co-host, Tank. How are you, my man?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I am doing excellent. Tis the spooky season, the best season of the year. Coincidentally, also our Comic-Con season, strangely enough.
Yeah, weirdly enough, this year.
You know what? We can figure things out. All I know is I am having a great time watching spoopy films. I carved pumpkins. My pumpkin lasted the whole of 3 days. But you know what? That's okay. It's the process and the pumpkin seeds that matter, okay? The process and the pumpkin seeds.
Yeah, we got all 4 of ours eaten by squirrels.
I mean, it's better than like the disgusting mold that I had grow in mine.
Oh, yeah, ours was lost to squirrels.
Yeah. My partner put hers out for squirrels and raccoons, and I think the mold discouraged their presence. But you know, it happens, and to be fair, all that matters is that you carved them and had fun doing so. What'd you guys carve?
We all did different things. I did a bat. My daughter did a ghost. They did a bunch of different stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, my partner did a cat from Kiki's Delivery, and I did a octopus, as I do, because octopi are the best. But it's been a great Halloween season. I've had a lot of fun. I'm excited to celebrate this weekend. Are you going to be doing anything beyond the convention you're doing and the obvious quality cinema you're going to be witnessing this weekend?
I don't believe so. We're doing just the regular trick or treating and that kind of stuff, I think.
Do you have good trick or treating out there?
We go to my sister-in-law's neighborhood because in our neighborhood, no, there's like 3 kids that live on our entire block total.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So we go to my sister-in-law's.
You probably have to fight the goats for the candy out where you live.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Well, all right. Speaking of spoopy season, what is your best spoopy movie you've seen so far this season?
Well, this season I have not seen a lot of new ones, to be honest.
Well, old works too, because my favorite is an old as shit one.
But my favorite, consistently my favorite, the one that I watch every year is the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, a quality film. Well,
yeah.
There's a fair amount of cheese in it.
Oh, it's ridiculous amount of cheese, but it's the way that they approach the killer and the way that he kills people was such a cool way, is such an innovative way. It's like, no, he just kills you while you're sleeping.
Scary.
Yeah.
It was scary at that time. Like, I want to say I was first exposed to Nightmare on Elm, like maybe at the second one. Like I watched the first one and then I watched the second one. So I think it was when the second one finally came out. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. That sounds like it may be.
No, that'd make you older than me.
Yeah, that would make me way old.
But I didn't see that one until it went out for a
first
while.
And the second one. And then I don't remember watching any other ones until quite a bit later.
I wouldn't have watched. I've seen them all just because it's my favorite classic slasher.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them are not good, to be honest. They get very, very campy very quickly.
I mean, are you saying you wouldn't kill Freddy by being a gymnast and kicking him when you're on a pole? It's like, are you not saying that's how you would kill Freddy? Are you not saying you would take him out of his dreams so he could fight Jason?
Oh, see, that's the way I would kill him. I'd take the Jason approach and chop his head off and launch it into space.
Oh, there you go. See, as we do know, like Jason and various other monsters who have a great time in space. Just look at Leprechaun in Space, a
Oh,
quality film.
oh my! That entire series of movies is absurd.
Oh, they're so good. They're so good. I appreciate them. Leprechaun in the Hood is the pinnacle. It will never get better.
Oh man, is that your favorite spoopy movie that you've seen?
Oh no. My favorite spoopy movie that, well, if we're going spoopy and not like freaky and interesting,
Hmm.
then yeah, that would probably be up there. I did also just watch the original Mummy movie today, which is
Like the Boris Karloff Mummy
yeah,
movie.
the 1954 whatever. Yeah. Yeah, I watched it with my roommate distractedly, and I gotta say that movie is pretty funny.
I love the
I,
old Universal monster movies. To be honest, they're ridiculous, but
they're
they're fun.
amazing. They re-released, well, apparently they did a toy line with those monsters, but they also included the Metropolis monster in there. The
Yeah, they.
Metropolis robot, and I bought that action figure just the other day.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm a fan of those. That's toy line actually. They've done a couple different releases of that toy line. They did one not too long ago that was pretty cool, and they had Frankenstein's monster, the Mummy, the Creature of the Black Lagoon, Dracula.
Yeah, because I have the original line of those, the
Hmm.
really old ones. I have two of those figures.
Those are really cool, the original
Uh,
ones.
they are so ugly. They're like
Oh
the
yeah, no,
ugliest action figures I've ever seen in my life.
oh no,
But that's,
terribly done. But
yeah, to
yeah,
be fair, that's why I love them.
yeah. Well, and that's why like so many of those old toys are legitimately expensive at this point because
Oh yeah. Like
you,
the full, I think the Mummy is the most expensive one, and
I
it's like
believe that's correct.
$50 or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Because yeah, if you can find those original ones, they're ugly as shit. Like most of the old toys are ugly though. I mean, really, we didn't. A lot of people have fondness for like the old Migos action figures and stuff like that, but they were ugly as shit. They didn't start making even decent toys until like the 80s when it came to action figures and stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe because like casting isn't that hard. But I suppose casting at the massive quantities they were
That's
probably encouraged some cutting of corners.
and probably some sloppy painting too.
Oh yeah, without doubt. No, but the movie I actually saw this year that really resonated with me is I saw Possession for the first time.
Yeah, I saw you
And
said something about that.
that movie is like the best movie ever. I love it so much. It's the best horror movie I've ever seen. But that's
Wow.
because it's not about the horror at all. It's about like the weird existential aspects of the film. And
Mm.
it is so good. And I want to own it so much, but the fucking DVD is $84. The Blu-ray like collector's set $468. I was like, you can go fuck yourself right off. But I saw it at the Alamo and I went in not having any idea what it was. And
Hmm.
it was probably one of the best movie experiences I've ever had.
That's pretty cool.
Like, it was so strange, so eerie. I spent the entire next day listening to video essays about it because I was
Mhm.
just trying to wrap my head around it.
Gotcha.
But it is an absolutely incredible film.
Yeah, I watched Halloween Kills. I did watch that.
I've heard good things. Smurf said
It's pretty
he
good.
liked it last week.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good. They stick closer to the original direction of it. So like after number two, I guess it would have been, this would kind of fall in line. Because when they got to like number three and stuff like that, it went in that weird direction that it went in.
Yeah.
But this seems more like a direct follow up to Halloween 2, which is pretty cool. I enjoyed
Okay.
it.
That sounds awesome. I'm excited to watch it now that I have the freedom to watch any movie I want with minimal investment. I am more inclined to watch movies like that. Still won't be watching Clifford the Big Red Dog, though.
Oh no, no.
That IP deserved to die.
I don't think the dog's gonna die in that movie. Pretty sure. I'm hoping that it's done kind of how they did the Paddington Bear movie a few years ago.
I doubt you're gonna get something of that quality.
That's what my hope is, because that was a decent movie actually. So I'm hoping that we get something close to that, but we'll find out, I guess.
Really,
Gotta,
you're reaching for the skies, aren't you, Tank?
huh?
You're reaching for the skies, aren't
Yeah.
you?
Well, and it's it's for the girls, and the tickets were free. So there we go.
I mean, you can't be free. But speaking of free movies and giant blockbuster films,
Mm-hmm.
Dune. We're not going to go into any real detail this week, but
No.
we both saw it. I saw it in theaters yesterday. You are a barbarian who watched it on HBO Max.
Yeah, I couldn't get out of my house this week, but I have a
You
good enough
forget.
TV that it presented very well still. So
Yeah, it's the sound that I'm so worried about
I got a
because
nice
the
soundbar
sound
system.
design was so good. And like I have a soundbar too, and I was rewatching it today,
Mm-hmm.
and I just threw it on for a few minutes, and the sound design just wasn't the same. Like you can't tell how good it was.
Yeah, it's not as good. You have to have a pretty significant sound system to get even anywhere near theater quality on that.
Yeah.
But
But overall impressions, I fucking love this movie. It is one
yeah,
of the best not film, book to film adaptations that I have seen. And I'm like, I was very impressed with it. I was very impressed with some of the scenes they kept from the book that I wasn't sure would play on TV. And you can tell you're experiencing a book narrative here.
yeah, it was. And the unfortunate thing is, I've heard leading up to this, everything I've heard so far from anecdotally has been that it's not great. It's kind of slow, and I'm like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. I just jumped in and watched it myself. I'm like, this is probably close to the best that we could have expected, considering the source material is very slow.
Yeah,
It is a very slow book. It moves very slowly for long parts and long stretches, and they were able to kind of keep that to a minimum. Actually, they made even their slower scenes where the pacing kind of got drawn down, they were still telling important things during those parts. They were still giving you important pieces of knowledge for the most part.
yeah, they were. And the number of allusions and references they hid
Oh
from
yeah.
the book in the movie were done subtly enough and effectively enough that they didn't take away from the experience if you don't have that.
Yeah,
Like
true.
the sleeping pills and such were a reference that I saw, and I was like, I understand this, and no one else in this theater probably does.
Yeah,
Um,
if you
but
don't have an understanding of the source material, I could understand why you would see this movie as dragging a little bit, because I could
it,
get that.
it
If
is
you don't
slow.
understand where it came from, you're kind of like, oh, this is just a really long movie that not a lot happens. I'm like, well, no, a lot actually happens, and they've cut a decent amount of stuff out, and there's still a lot that happens. So,
I mean, I am very impressed with this adaptation. I also really like the presence of uh, people of color and representation in that front.
mhm.
Because, to be fair, both the book and the earlier movie were pretty monocolored.
Yeah, yeah.
It is definitely a much better version than anything we've seen before.
Oh
But to
yeah.
be fair, we've seen what, two TV shows and a movie.
Yeah, none of those were done anywhere near to the quality of this one.
Yeah, nothing even close. It is a shockingly effective film at doing what it's trying to do.
And I don't know if we chalk that up to the director or the production team or who, honestly, on this. Whoever's vision of telling the story the way that they told it did an amazing job.
Yeah, they did. The um the book adapters, the
Mhm.
writers, they did such phenomenal work with what they were giving. Because like Dune has definitely dated in a big way.
And
And
yeah,
like, this felt remarkably modern. They brought in some ideas that were more subtly spaced through, but they were more modern themes. And I thought it was very interesting to see. And I look forward to discussing it more.
yeah, once we can, I don't want to obviously spoil anything, and we'll get to a more spoiler heavy discussion probably next week. Um, but God, yeah, it was good. It was great, honestly, and it makes sense that they're splitting it into two
It does.
because
And I'm so glad at the very beginning they were like, Dune, part one.
yeah, like, and because initially when they said it, I was like, oh, okay, why are they doing that? And then I'm thinking about it, they probably have to. This is an incredibly dense story, and the fact that they're putting enough information in there that you can kind of relate to what happened in the book and still tell a relatively short story at 2.5 hours, because it was legitimately 2.5 hours without credits.
Mhm.
Like, that's impressive that they were able to get that much story in that time frame. So
They it really was an impressive feat. And like, I'm just so ready for part two. I know we're not gonna see it for a year, but
oh
like
yeah,
where it ended, I was like, that's a good place to end. I feel like this could have been three films. And I
yeah,
felt like there was a very specific part that the first movie could have ended, then the second movie could have covered like the let's call it the last
45
quarter of the
minutes.
film. I'm
I'd
sorry.
say 45 minutes to half hour, somewhere in
Yeah,
that range. Yeah, they could have cut off and started a whole new movie.
yeah. I really feel like three films would have been ideal for this, but I think two of this length will work effectively.
Yeah, this seems like it's going to be good if they followed up the way that the story is told originally and kind of do what they did with this one, fill in enough information to where if you're not super familiar with the source material, you'll still get engaged into it. But if you are familiar with the source material, you'll be like, holy shit, this is a great story. They did a great
Exactly.
job. Yeah.
Yep, I'm excited to talk about it more with the rest of our cast, but that will have to wait till next week.
I will
Uh,
say, hell of a respect for Timothy Chalamet. Honestly, he did
yeah,
a great job. I
yeah.
will say that. I was not
Accolades all
expecting.
around because like the acting in this was phenomenal, top tier as well.
Yeah, everyone did a really good job. Batista didn't have a whole lot of speaking parts, really,
Thank gods for that.
but he did what he needed to do, which was just be a brutal son of a bitch.
Yep.
So it works that way.
Like he knew what role he was signing up for.
Oh yeah, he's like, oh, so I'm just supposed to just destroy people. Yep. Okay.
Yep. But 10 out of 10 recommend. I would
Oh yeah.
highly suggest seeing it in theaters when you have the opportunity. It is well worth the experience. And we will get back to you next week with some more details about it.
Yeah, and
But
I'm probably gonna actually go see it in the theaters too, just to get that full experience.
you should go directly from Clifford the Big Red Dog to
Yeah,
Dune and see what your
yeah,
kids think. I'm
yeah.
sure they'll
Let's
be
take the kids over to
delighted.
Dune and see what they feel about it. Yes.
I'm sure they will be delighted. But speaking of our childhood being fucked up or potentially saved, we got the first real trailer of Cowboy Bebop, and I gotta
Yeah,
say, I'm I am impressed, man. This is looking so much better than I was expecting.
and I'm gonna be 100% upfront on this. I'm not a huge fan of Cowboy Bebop. the original source material. I liked it okay, but it wasn't in the vein of what I traditionally like for anime. So, but seeing the trailer for this is kind of reignited that, and maybe I'll go back and rewatch, because I haven't watched Cowboy Bebop in a long time.
I mean, it is.
So,
They did just put it on Netflix,
mhm,
so you can watch it through that avenue.
yeah,
I loved Cowboy Bebop when I was growing up, but specifically, I loved the music. I think the music is what made that show so effective and so powerful. And from what I've seen in this trailer, it looks like they're nailing it. It's
yeah,
like it looks like they're literally using the original scores. I can't tell for sure because we don't have any details that fine yet that have been leaked, but the sound design is looking impeccable.
at least from what we've gotten so far, it seems like they at least um took the original source material and played with it from the music aspect of it.
Mhm.
So you probably will get something pretty close, I'm guessing, because they tend to do that with a lot of these adaptations. They at least play with the original material. So
Well, it's the most effective way to draw a built-in audience to a new property like this. So I'm really curious. Like this trailer did exactly what I want a trailer to do. It piqued my curiosity. It maybe dissuaded me from an outright no to a maybe. And like always, it's on Netflix. What do I lose by watching it? Nothing. Maybe a couple
exactly.
hours. It's like if I get through the entire thing, and I'm so curious. I'm not loving the Faye Valentine design, but I mean, to be fair, she was always a character that bordered on absurdity, so she can't actually be a real life person.
Yeah, it's kind of like you're messing with, like, it's one of those ones where you're playing with the Hulk, and it's like you can't really, you can show Bruce Banner, you can't really show the Hulk as a thing of the universe without playing with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like I'm not dissatisfied with what I've seen.
Mhm.
It's like I'm excited. I absolutely hated that they made reference to my favorite episode of Cowboy Bebop, and the guy looked so stupid and not scary at all. But you know what? That's fine. We can't have everything we want. And core writing rule 101 is kill your darlings, and I guess they are going to be killing my darling for me, so I don't have to worry. But we'll see. I mean, it's not that far away. I'm
No.
genuinely curious to see how this goes.
Yeah, agree. It's gonna be worth a watch at least to see
It
where.
definitely will. And seeing the swordfish, was it swordfish? Spike's ship. I'm almost certain it's the swordfish.
I'm gonna go
Uh,
ahead and say I'm not 100% sure, but
yeah. Seeing that live action was remarkably pleasing because it looked so accurate to the anime.
mhm.
I was like, this literally looks like the ship I've envisioned flying around in space in my whole life. It's like that's something that I relish, and I hope this strikes the right balance of nostalgia and modernizing of a classic idea to be effective and a useful tool for inspiring interest in this IP.
Yeah, and it based on the trailer, it got me interested. And as I've said, like I wasn't a huge fan of the original material, but I saw this trailer and I'm like, you know what? Maybe they'll get me with this.
Yeah. I mean, it can't be worse than some of their other ones. So we
No,
don't have to.
been
We,
some misfires for sure.
yeah,
I
you Death Note. Although Death Note was better than Bleach.
never watched the Bleach one. I will say that.
I watched like 15 minutes and I was like, fuck all of this. But I mean, everything I've seen so far says they are doing the right stuff for this one. So maybe they'll finally get the really effective and giant win that they need. Because if they do, it could make them a mainstay in anime. Not even just in adaptations, just as a source for anime.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm
And
really
John
curious.
Cho looks like a badass.
Yeah, he does.
So
Yeah, he does. He looks
that
so
makes me.
cool.
He does. He looks cool as shit. I can't wait for that. That's the part of that excited me the most. I was like, oh, they're making him into a complete badass in this. All right.
Like, it's so strange. I wouldn't have thought like he had the chops for it, but well done.
Well, I mean, the closest thing we can kind of tie him to, and even in a close vein, would be in Star Trek.
That's what I was thinking.
So, and even then, he's Sulu, so not really a badass, just incredibly smart.
Yep.
So,
I don't know. We'll see. I have high hopes, and I just can't fucking wait, man. We have so much stuff coming towards the end of the end of this year.
well, yeah,
It's kinda
November.
hard to believe there's only 2 months left.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of late stuff, and then we're getting a lot of early stuff on the front end of 2022 also. Like
Yeah,
from
we are.
November to March, basically, there is new huge either movie or TV show or streamer or video game
Video
releases
games.
just
Yeah,
nonstop.
it is. It is a very heavy quarter.
A lot of nerd money flowing for the next few months, that's for sure.
Yep, they're trying to get it all, and they might be succeeding.
Well, they've already caught me for quite a bit, so we'll see what happens next.
I mean, I'm safe so far, but give me a couple of weeks, and I'm sure they'll get me.
Well, I already spent $600 on a new Xbox, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I almost bought another PS5 today. Oh my God, the world is a crazy place. But I don't know, Tank, did you want to talk about this showcase or not?
Which one are we doing?
The one that dropped today.
The state of play.
Yes, the state of play.
I mean, we can mention there's not a whole lot that came out from it, which surprised the crap out of me.
It is the shittiest fucking state of play I have seen from them in a while.
Yeah, like
they had a few games that people care about, but most of it was just, it was like an indie showcase, but it wasn't presented to us as an indie showcase.
well, and that's it was that you're legitimately correct. Like a lot of what they presented seems to be more indie inspired stuff.
Yeah, it's like
And
Square, I think, was the only major studio we saw.
do we still count SNK as a major studio?
I don't know.
Because they
Like,
did the King of Fighters thing, didn't they?
yeah, they did King of Fighters 15, man.
Yeah. That would be the only other one where I'm like, yeah, it's kind of a big one. But the cool thing is like the games they showed are interesting.
Yeah, they're finally
But-
getting Death's Door, which is like one of the best games of this year.
And the Deathverse one, that looks interesting.
Mhm.
And
I mean-
good timing for them getting it out right after Squid Game kind of becomes popular. So
Yeah.
you're gonna probably get a lot of people to jump on that, I'm assuming.
I hope so. I mean, none of the games looked bad, but none of them really looked that interesting.
Well, and none of it seemed important. You would think leading into the holiday season, right now, is when you want to lay out everything you have.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't like. I'm surprised they had this at all. I
I would
mean,
agree. Yeah.
it's the wrong thing at the wrong time. Like, there are times for indie showcases, and this is not one of those times. Because you want people to be focused on these big IPs that you just released. And considering the rather strong year Sony has had so far, I'm surprised they're trying to intrigue people with these smaller titles right now.
Well, and it's weird because it's not like they have a they have a lot of stuff coming up in the next year. That's their
They
own
do. I mean, their
property.
Horizon, they have a bunch of stuff, and I just I don't understand why they would focus on something like this close to the holiday season that's this kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, because that's the reality of it is it's appreciated, but this seems like it wasn't a state of play thing. This seems like you could have just I don't even know. Like this doesn't seem like it was worth that because what I was expecting was, information on what they're doing with Crunchyroll or what they're going to be doing with PS Now or, any number of stuff that they could possibly talk about that is directly related to what they sell and what they have to offer, you know?
Yeah, it would have been nice to get something. And they said it was going to focus on third party IP, which I understood going into
Yeah.
it, but there's a difference between like third party IP and what we saw.
Well, and I understand focusing on it, but you gave us basically nothing that tells me that I need to buy a PS5.
Oh yeah, not at all.
Like I didn't see anything that said I needed to do that.
I mean, let's see. Five Nights at Freddy's, Death's Door. I mean, I will say the Kart Rider game looked super fun.
Yeah, but it's a kart
Like,
rider game.
yeah, it looked like a good version of it.
But even then, like once again, it's not a big thing. There's ton of, racing sims and all that kind of stuff that exist. You're not
Yeah,
gonna do anything with that.
yeah, it's the same thing with the Among Us clone that they're releasing. I saw that and I was like, all right. I mean, you guys kind of missed the train.
It's cool, but who cares?
Yeah, it's like you guys kind of missed the train, and like this doesn't look any
Significant.
more intriguing than Among Us.
No, and that's the thing. Like Among Us is already, unfortunately, kind of past its prime phase already. It's already dropped off.
Yeah, it had its popularity spike, and that spike has definitely abated.
Yeah, like I haven't seen anything about. I know that they're doing updates on it, but the only reason I know that is because I was reading about something else and that came up.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like, that's not going to get me to play it, but awesome. Good for you.
Yeah, I'm just nervous about. I mean, I'm not nervous about PlayStation because they're fine. Like they have some of the best games in the world
Yeah,
are PlayStation games, and it's like I can admit that even if there is a big ass Xbox sign glowing over me as I do this show. Um, but I just I why Sony makes weird choices,
and with
but this
all the
one,
stuff that they have,
yeah, it's like
like,
this is so weirdly timed that I would have like why wasn't Final Fantasy 15 here? Why wasn't anything else from Square besides Star Ocean?
well,
It's
and
like unlucky that matters to people, I will admit. And Bug Snacks, I will admit, does matter to some people.
yeah, but not
But
to
this
the
is such like a special show, and like its slot in the year is too important for something this arbitrary.
exactly. It needed to be a mainstream thing.
It did.
They're one of the. I think aren't they the only game developer that is directly connected to a major movie studio?
Uh
Like
yes, maybe. I think Ubisoft may be trying to like
they're trying to, but they're not there yet.
I don't
Sony is a major movie studio
yeah.
already.
I mean they have their own
Mhm.
part of the company that's devoted to film adaptations, Sony Studios.
Yeah.
So
So why didn't you rope some of that stuff in? We know that there's movies coming out. They have Uncharted.
I mean this would have been
You
a
know,
no,
they
I
have
don't know.
Uncharted. They have Spider-Man. They have stuff that's coming up. That you could
Yeah,
even rope some of that in. You know.
I was wondering if Last of Us would be the Last of Us TV show would be a good drop here because we're so
Yeah.
close to
Even
Halloween.
that. Yeah.
But I understand you want to save your really big stuff for Game Awards. Game Awards is in a month and a half, so
Yeah, but people aren't going to be buying at that point. You want to be you might get some last minute stuff, but you want to start selling now.
Oh
Catch
yeah.
people coming in November when we've already been told the entire country is basically, if you're buying stuff, especially how we buy stuff traditionally now, which is online, it's going to take longer to get there. So buy early.
Yep.
So you should take that thought process and be like, okay, what do we need to push out that we need to sell in November? You know, and they didn't approach it that way. They're selling us stuff that's going to be coming out potentially before the end of the year, but most of it's going to be next year.
Yeah.
So
That's like, none of it is so intriguing that I have to break out my credit card right now to put in a pre-order.
well, and like, in even because in a similar vein, they did the fandom last week for DC. And they took the approach of, hey, nothing's coming up immediately, but here is a whole slate of crap that's coming out really quick, early in 2022, and all year long. Here is 15 movies, and here's some games, and here's some all kinds of stuff. And they sold all their big stuff.
Yeah.
They went into it that way.
Yeah. That, I feel like that would have been a much better approach for Sony.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll redeem themselves at Game Awards. Usually that's an Xbox and Nintendo show that
Yeah,
really carries that show, but we'll see.
maybe that's their plan, is to try and jump over, because Nintendo's eating shit right now on their N64 stuff.
Oh yeah, they deserve it though,
Yeah.
because like it is such a shitty rollout. I feel so bad for
And
people
it
who,
wasn't done well. The
yeah, it's like there are games you can hardly play because they're so messed up.
and
And the
they're
controls are so fucked up and ass backwards that people
Mhm.
can't play them.
And you more than doubled the online cost to
Yeah,
push this
it's
out.
$50 extra. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So
I mean, Nintendo does what Nintendo does, but this is
this one,
definitely a loss for them going
yeah.
into the busiest part of their year, like when they get the most sales. It's like I feel like they need to do something quickly to rectify the solution, or else they're gonna have so much negative press that their sales are gonna suffer over the holiday season.
Well, and they're already going to. Like, there's not enough people. I love Nintendo stuff. I have a, giant collection of Nintendo shit, but because I loved a lot of their games. I have the NES Mini, I have the SNES Mini, I have the regular Super Nintendo, a regular Nintendo, I have a GameCube, I have all of that stuff because they make really good stuff traditionally. But
Mhm.
what they did with the transferring the N64 to the online thing, to their little online, I don't even know what to call it, museum, I guess.
Yeah,
It's massive. It's a
I mean,
massive
like
screw up for them.
a virtual console or something
Yeah.
like that. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a huge screw up for them. They messed this up and they pissed off their player base.
And they
Honestly.
really did. And like, I just, all of these strange decisions are odd considering like you're coming right into the most important sales quarter.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, thank God Xbox is just staying quiet right now. It's the
Well, and
best
they're
thing.
being smart. Like they tell you up front, like, hey, we're losing this stuff off of Game Pass, but guess what? You're getting all this stuff too. Here's all the
Yep.
new shit we're giving you. Like, oh wow. I can't
More
complain that
games
you're
than I
taking
can
stuff off when
possibly
you're,
play.
huh?
Yay. More games than I can possibly play.
Yeah,
Yay.
like, it's absurd of the amount of stuff that they're announcing and letting go, putting in, and day one, all of this stuff is like, wow, you guys are doing way better than everyone else on the selling the console front right now.
Mhm.
And they just put their cloud thing into beta on pre Series XS consoles.
Yeah, it starts streaming through the cloud as you're
Mm-hmm.
downloading.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great, man. Xbox is really, they're running on all four cylinders, and it's just glaringly obvious that their rivals, I mean, specifically Nintendo, Nintendo has had a rough time since COVID. And yeah, they had the most successful game of COVID with Animal Crossing because it was just the perfect game at the right time.
And the most successful console for the last, what, year and a half?
Oh, it's been more than that.
I think they did 70, I think it was like 70 something weeks where they were the number one console.
Oh, yeah. And then I think they got bumped just lately.
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago, PlayStation bumped
Yeah.
them.
Yep. And it's like, we don't know if Microsoft is even close to that
But what's
because
sad about that is PlayStation bumped them the week they released their new version of the Switch.
yeah, the OLED.
Yeah, the OLED screen Switch. Which, yeah, not a huge thing, but it is, you release
It
a
is
new
better.
console, you release a new console that's better than the one you had, and you got beat that week.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No, it's not. I'm like, Nintendo will never fail, and they'll always do their own weird shit, and they will fuck over their fans over and over and over again.
Mm.
But they got the IP to be like, they will always remain successful and viable. So, I mean, we'll bitch about Nintendo, but there's nothing we can do about it, and they know it.
Well, yeah, because they're the only console that has Mario, and that's
Yep.
unfortunate. But
All right, Tank, do you have anything else you want to bring up?
not
Oh,
really.
I was gonna ask you, did you see the Batman trailer?
Oh yeah, that looks crazy. We could go into that, like the fandom stuff. They had quite a bit come out.
I didn't watch all the fandom. I just caught the trailer and
Yeah,
some gameplay from their two games.
they did the Batman, the new trailer for Batman, and yeah, they're going dark. They're going,
They're going super dark.
yeah,
I was like, dear God, this may be darker than the Dark Knight, which is ironic in so many ways.
yeah. It looks like they're going full on serial killer movie with Batman, basically.
Yeah. I'm really, really, and as soon as the trailer started and I saw the question mark, I knew exactly what it was.
Oh yeah, and they drew you in immediately. That was a smart presentation for them.
That was they did I've seen that trailer twice in theaters now, and each time I'm like, there's way too much shit going on in this trailer, but at the same time, I am so intrigued.
They did a good job selling it, honestly. Trying to think, they also did the Flash trailer,
Mhm. They
which
did the gameplay for Suicide Squad.
no,
No.
yeah, they
That
did the Suicide Squad. It wasn't a gameplay trailer, but it was
yeah,
a
it was just a teaser.
it was
Yeah,
a teaser trailer, storyline trailer.
yeah.
But
And then
even
they
that,
did the Arkham Buddies, whatever that game is actually called.
the
Not the
Gotham
Arkham
Knights,
Buddies. Yeah, Gotham Knights.
nah, it
The
looks
Arkham
cool.
Buddies, as it's also known.
It looks cool. I mean,
I mean, they both look great. I'm excited when we finally will see them. I mean,
and
who
then
knows what that will actually be?
they had The Rock do his little um sneak peek, I guess, at Black Adam.
Yeah, all of this for that guy. All of this.
Hey, he's selling a whole franchise, so he's doing something.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
then
mean, that's literally what Smurf's favorite actor, Tom Cruise, did. So
true. And then Peacemaker, they gave us the
a show like, do you?
first. I want
Yeah,
to see it. Yeah, 100%.
I don't know if I do. Like, I wasn't as intrigued with his character. I was intrigued, but not enough to want an entire thing devoted to him.
If they let him be himself as the Peacemaker, this could work. But they have to let him be himself, which is he's goofy and foul mouthed and kind of a prick.
Well, they fucking nailed it in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, so if they let him do that, like a lot of people see John Cena as what they've seen the last decade and stuff, but a lot of people forget when he was first breaking into wrestling, he was kind of a dickhead.
Yeah.
He was a bad guy when he first came in, and if they let him do that approach of the anti-hero approach where he's trying to save the day, but he's still an asshole. And he's going to be an asshole no matter what.
Mhm.
If they let him take that approach to it, then I think he's going to do a good job. So that's all I'm hoping for. If they can let him do that and just kind of let him run with it, then I think they have something.
Well, I mean, I'm curious. I'm not like hankering to see it, but if I can watch it and it's a couple of bucks to go see, I'll go see it. But
Well, it's going to be on HBO Max.
there you go. I
So-
won't even have to pay for it.
And it's an actual series. It's a TV series. It's a streamer.
I wasn't sure if it was a movie or a series. I only saw part of the teaser, so
No, it's a streamer series. It starts in January, I think.
oh, that is right around the corner.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I mean, they're doing a bunch of shit. I just can't wait to start getting some of this stuff. When does Batman come out? Isn't it February?
I believe it is March.
I knew it was right around. I know it's first quarter, but I don't
me-
remember when in first quarter.
Let me hop in and look real quick. 'Cause I think
Every
it's
time,
March.
yeah, every time I see the trailer, I'm just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on through all of it because there's just so much wedged into that trailer. I do love the Batmobile
March 4th.
though.
So
Okay.
yeah. And I'm liking what they do. I mean, we got Catwoman already. We've got
Yep.
Penguin. We've got appears to be Falcone. They're going heavy on the villains. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we got the Riddler, which I'm
Yeah.
really excited about.
That's the part that's the most intriguing. Because it really looks like they're going to treat him as a serial killer. Like we're getting
like he was done so dirty. I mean, Jim Carrey did the best he could, but
I'd say that was more of a
that was a writing problem.
yeah, that was a director, writer, producer issue, I think.
Yeah. And they just like it's sad because like his character is one of the most interesting, and he is truly like I think he is the most brilliant villain in that universe, isn't he? Like,
It's
isn't his IQ the highest?
the smartest villain in that, and for his rogues gallery would either be Riddler or potentially Hugo Strange, but that would be like the top two, and I'd probably give a little bit credence more towards Riddler just because he is supposed to be ridiculously smart. So
And that's what I like about his character is he is so brilliant. He can see like the riddles and idiosyncrasies in our own reality, and that makes him laugh and is interesting. And it justifies his break from traditional norms.
one, he's a troll too. Like he delights in the idea that he's fucking with people, and that's his favorite thing. So
It's like
and if
me, if
they
I was
make
just a villain.
yeah, if they turn that guy into like not only does he like to fuck with you, but he also has a penchant for some grisly shit. Good, awesome. That's gonna sell me. I'll watch that.
What do you think of the new Batman though?
From what we have so far, I like it. I will say that from what we have so far, they seem to be the interesting part is what are we going to see from him as Bruce Wayne?
I'm curious about that too.
Because behind the mask, you can sell behind the mask easier than you can sell Bruce Wayne.
Mhm.
So that'll be interesting.
Special effects and the tension of action
Yeah.
to drive Batman, but Bruce Wayne is, as you were saying.
Yeah, like that's a harder sell. Like that's why it's so difficult to do that correctly. But him as Batman so far seems good. He seems like he knows the role that he's playing.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm seeing a lot of elements from previous Batman.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like more so than any other actor, I'm seeing less of his original character and more of just this amalgamation of other actors I've seen play this role.
And I kind of see what you're saying about that. Like it seems like they're drawing in from obviously Christian Bale and from Michael Keaton a little bit
Mhm.
so
I would
far.
also honestly say they're going from, oh my God, what's the name of the terrible Batman actor? Ben Affleck. I'm seeing some Ben Affleck in there too.
He's not terrible. He got way more shit than he should have. Those movies were not great, but I don't know if I'd pin that on him.
That's true.
And
I mean,
he's in the new Flash movie still. It's him and
which is
Keaton.
it's so strange. It's
Yeah,
such a strange thing.
it's him and Keaton are both being our Batman in the Flash movie. So I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know.
I don't either.
we
It's
got like three
into the
Batmans right now.
Spider-Verse Batman style.
We legitimately have 4 Batmans that are going to be showing up either on silver or either big screen or small screen this year. Because they have a different Batman for Titans also.
Yeah,
So
I don't know, man. We'll see. I hope this movie is not terrible. I'm really hoping the Flash movie isn't terrible because I'm actually intrigued by that movie more, but I also think there's more potential for failure with that movie.
yeah, there is a lot of potential for failure, especially if they are kind of doing the Flashpoint thing again, which it looks like that's what it is. So we'll see.
All right.
But
Well,
I think
on
that's
that
it.
note, I don't think I have anything else I'm hankering to discuss. You got anything else?
I don't believe so.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful spoopy season. And next week we will be back with far more than 2 of us. Even if it's only 3 of us, that will still be far more than 2. So I wish upon you all a wonderful evening and a most fantastical Halloween.
Have a good night, everybody.